What's the difference between fair and equal?
This is Reid from ReidAboutSex.com and Sex Geek Summer Camp.
And when I'm wearing my Sex Geek Summer Camp t-shirt, that means we're talking about business. This is business advice for sex educators and sex-positive entrepreneurs. But it's relationship advice too, because doing business is doing relationships. Yeah. This is Cathy from the IntimacyDojo.com.
And fair versus equal is a great topic, and knowing what is important to you and how to talk to your partner about it, your business partner or your relationship partner, can make a huge difference on whether things go smoothly and everyone feels happy, or if, what the hell are you thinking? Mm-hmm. And so if you like the ease of...
Usually I wasn't thinking. I was just being me.
No, but people have expectations on fair versus equal based on how they were raised and what their natural inclination is. Just like one of my primary love languages, words of affirmation and touch. It's really easy for me to assume if I say, oh my God, that was a really good job, that someone feels loved, whereas if someone's not that, they want gifts, they're like, she keeps telling me and keeps touching me, I don't know what the problem is.
It's weird, man. It surprises me all kinds of stuff.
So,
who's touching me? Weird.
So, would you like to explain the difference fair versus equal?
There's a couple of, so this is my particular take on it, that you might have another take, absorb what's useful, run with it, chuck the rest if this doesn't work for you. The difference when I teach jealousy and envy stuff around fair versus equal is the distinction, which is really useful in your personal relationships and your friendships, and check in with your family, but also really useful if you're running a business where, like let's say in our situation, when we collaborate, my business is mine. Mm-hmm. Cathy can advise me on things and give me her opinion, mm-hmm. which she often does. But it's mine, and I get to do what I want with it. And we have agreements put in place, and we talked about exit strategies and things like that. So go watch these other videos that we cut about business relating. But ultimately, I get to make decisions about my business, and then Cathy can opt in or opt out. Mm-hmm. Now, if I don't include Cathy, she might think that's not fair. Or, I don't know how it occurs to you, if it's not equal, how does equal occur to you?
I want the same as someone else is getting. So, for example, for that might be if Reid had 2 events and I ran 1 event, and I was paid 30%. Mm-hmm. And he had someone else come in and run a similar event, and he paid them 40%. I'd be like, that's not equal. What are you, similar events, similar amount of work, like, what you thinking? Mm-hmm. Like, so that equal there is like, versus, fair, be like,
I did this event first.
Yeah.
Why are you offering it to that other person? Yeah. That's not fair. I did a great job on that event. I should be offered that event. This is kind of something we're going through a little bit right now, just to be transparent. But that's not fair. And so this is what's really useful, is understanding what fair is for the other person and what fair means to you. And then understanding what equal means, because what happens is a lot of times people collapse the two. And then when you collapse the two, there's a bunch of opportunities and distinctions that you get lost mm-hmm. when you merge the two. So in your relationship and business relationship with Rick at thrivingnow.com, mm-hmm. you guys set up things to be fairly equal. Mm-hmm. So how does fair occur in your business with Rick?
I feel like we both really care about, and because we're primary partners in that, and we tend to work really well that way, it tends to work out. Like, if one person carries a little more weight on this, another person carries a little more weight on that. And if it starts feeling out of off balance, it's each person's responsibility to say, hey, I feel like I'm carrying a little bit more of the load right now than I'd like. And the other person might say, well, yeah, we didn't actually have a discussion, like a conflict about it. But when I moved across country, I was like, hey, Rick, when you moved, I covered for you while you got settled. I'm going to need you to cover for me while I'm getting settled. Like, there was okay, I helped you out. Can you help me out? Kind of mm-hmm. thing. Not an obligation, but it would feel fair. Like if he said, no, I don't really want to, I would kind of like, that doesn't feel very fair to me. And he was fine with it. He was amazing. you covered great.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and understanding these distinctions and also the distinctions for yourself. So in romantic relationships, or even with your kids, like you have children, these things where like, well, you know, you went to Disney World with so-and-so,
mm-hmm.
I should go to Disney World with you. Like, that would be fair. And I was like, well, is that fair or is that equal?
That's
like
more equal to me.
Yeah, but things not being equal, that's not fair.
Yeah, people mix the words up.
And understanding this, so you know what you're talking about, and you're understanding like what the problem is, and understanding in your own businesses, like, well, what do you, like in our business, it doesn't, for me in my business, it doesn't need to be fair or equal. It doesn't. I try to be nice
mm-hmm. and
accommodating, but there might be situations where I'm doing something and Cathy's like, but that's not fair. So then there's a conversation about, are you partnering with people who have their words and can speak up about it? And then this distinction might be really helpful.
And sometimes you're like, oh yeah, let's change that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that to my attention.
And sometimes it's like, well, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but like you can opt out, but this is how it's going to go.
So make sure whatever you're doing, your businesses and even if you're creating programs together or running a retreat together or something, figure out ways to assess if the people that you're collaborating with have high emotional IQs and can handle their own disappointments, mm-hmm. put into words and to the best of their ability, self-assess what's going on for them and can they communicate it. 6 fingers pointing back at you. Because if you want to collaborate with people and certainly start businesses where you're sharing intellectual property and money, get your shit together. Can you talk eloquently about what your needs are? To the extent that sometimes you don't know. Mm-hmm. But can you talk about, like, something's going on, I don't know what's going on. Can you have those conversations? Don't partner with people and use this is my personal belief, don't use your business as your business partner's workshop to get their shit together.
Yes, it's not, business is not therapy. It's okay to have a certain amount of discussion. And one of my thoughts is...
Say that with us. Business is not therapy.
One of my thoughts, though, is that if you are growing and going deeper, like I use business as a way to grow personally. Like experience things I hadn't experienced before, challenge myself.
Yeah, challenge yourself.
Yeah, and it's fun to do that with, like, as part of creation. But if you're growing a lot and doing a lot of new things, you may be hitting a lot of the edges of a lot of new comfort zones. So look at that and say, oh, is this just like a really rocky ride, or is it the fact that we're going really far, really fast, and we're exploring areas where we didn't have agreements or frameworks to work on it? And is it okay? Like, is that part of the context? Like, okay, we are doing a lot of new stuff. There's going to be more bumps. And are you willing to figure that out? Are you willing to work through that? If you're both a yes, that's great. Businesses that stay, kind of more constant may not have that, mm-hmm. may not have as much conflict if everything's agreed on. So sometimes it's a sign that you're growing a lot. And you get to look at it and say, is this me growing a lot? Or is this just the car needs to get to the shop?
And then we'll end this video, and thank you for watching because these ones are a little bit longer. Especially if you're coaches or therapists or counselors, just like in a romantic relationship, use your business partnerships and collaborations to cheer each other on while you go get resources to figure out what you need in this relationship outside of. Don't spend a lot of time coaching and therapizing each other. Cheer each other on to go get therapy outside of the business and then bring back your ahas to be celebrated.
Right.
That's really useful, and what's happened for me and in other business collaborations is the quick fix is, since you already know how to do this, is you just hold space for each other. That's okay. But to have that be the relationship with each other, don't have a coaching business where you coach your business partners
more than anybody else.
Yeah, that's not. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Take our advice. Don't do that.
And it's okay to get some of your needs met in the business relationship, but if it's your sole source of getting your needs met, it's gonna be a lot rockier.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What are your comments? Are these videos useful? Sorry that they're a little long.